down. So we've measured out our floor and we're going to make a number of cuts. We've made a few cuts and now we're ready for our installation. For our first couple rows, it's a good idea to bring the planks away from the wall so that I can kneel on the first plank to snap down. To get rid of this gap, we take our tapping block, place it on the end. For the installation of our final few pieces, including the ones around our door jamb, we're going to want to cut the bottom of our door jamb. And in order to do that, first thing we want to do is make a mark using one of our planks turned upside down as a template. Now I want to mark my final piece. I'm going to need to make a cut here and here. Okay, we've made our cut. We're ready for our final piece. And tap this in like so. Our next step is going to involve taking care of a stair. For our purposes, we have carpeted steps, but we are going to wrap around our wood onto our top riser. So we will need a long piece, and because our planking doesn't quite cover our stair riser, we're going to need a short piece also, which we will cut to size both width and length to accommodate the height of our riser. And then we're going to affix our nosing between the top of our floor and our riser with our track nailed, screwed or glued down to our floor, our subfloor, and then snap our nosing into place into our track. For security purposes, we want to make sure that we affix our nosing also with a metal fastener, either a nail or a screw, 6 or 8 inches apart, approximately 2 inches from the edge of our nosing for double strength. Set our nail or screw holes and wipe in some coordinating putty to fill the holes. Now we have determined that the riser height is 6 1/4 inches, so I've made my mark at 6 1/4, and I've made it on the back of my plank so that the line shows up a little bit better. A pencil line on a laminate doesn't show up quite as strongly as you would like it to. So we're ready to cut. Next step is to affix adhesive to the back of our riser plank. Just make sure you have an adhesive that will accommodate laminate flooring. We'd like to make sure that the entire surface is buttered up very nicely. Put the bottom end in first, press up to the top, wipe off any excess adhesive. So we've secured our track down to our subfloor, and the next thing we're going to do is snap our nosing into our track. When we do that, we want to go one end in first, and it's snapped into place. Because these strips only come in standard lengths, we needed to splice a piece of nosing together, and I like to cut them on a 30-degree angle. If there happens to be any gaps that are left over, we can fill those with our coordinated color putty. Finally, we're going to secure our nosing down with a metal fastener, either a nail or a screw, making sure that we first drill a pilot hole through our laminate to accept our nail or our screw, setting our nail and or screw down below the surface and then filling our hole with the coordinated color putty to whichever our floor happens to be. Our next step is to secure a track at our transition area between our flooring and, in our case, carpeting. Typically with carpeting, you're going to use a transition piece where the carpet abuts the transition piece. For our purposes, because our carpeting is somewhat higher than our floor, we're going to use a reducing transition piece. First step is to secure down our track like we did with our nosing. Then we're going to take our piece, slide it under our doorstop, work our way from one side to the next, and snap it into place. Our final step to close the expansion gaps is to apply a quarter round. First thing we want to do is remove our spacers. Take our measurement and go cut. Finally, we're going to affix our quarter round to our wall, not to our floor surface, to allow for expansion of the floor. As a final touch, I like to cut a small end cap to affix to our quarter round, but you may also simply choose to make a straight cut across or cut twice to give a nice finished touch to your end. If you choose to make an end cap like this, I would both glue and nail my piece. So now we're going to affix our quarter round to our wall. Again, to our wall, not to our floor surface, to allow for expansion. And fill all our holes with the coordinating colored putty. And we're ready to go.
All right, so we finished installing our floor here. We have a nice section right here at our landing. It looks beautiful. And how do people maintain this in order to make sure it stays nice and pretty?
Well, that's a great question, Deanna. That's the beauty of this floor, because all it takes is a wiping with a damp sponge or a mop. You really want to be careful not to use too much water on this surface.
Okay, just something damp and then just wipe it right out.
Correct.
All right. Sounds good. We'll maintain our floor nice and beautiful. And that's how you install glueless hardwood floors. Thanks, Bob.